Hey, strong people, Kalle Beck here, bringing you episode 50 of the Strong Talk podcast. Just want to say thanks for supporting myself and the sport of strongman and everything else involved with Strong Talk and having 50 episodes and looking forward to the next 50. Remember that Strong Talk is presented by StartingStrongman.com, and go to StartingStrongman.com for all your news and information on how to compete and excel in the sport of strongman. Go to StrongmanCoach.com for personalized coaching from our group of experienced strongman competitors and coaches like myself, Mike Battolino, Rob Kearney, etc. Go to store.startingstrongman.com for all of your lifting gear needs and educational purposes like ebooks such as Built by Mike Westerling, and more. Go to startingstrongman.com/sponsors, click through the banners, and before you do your purchasing, really help support the show, support the people that support us, which helps me put on shows like this. Use our affiliates on Amazon and Rogue Fitness. Go to amazon.startingstrongman.com, rogue.startingstrongman.com. Kind of talk about that a little bit. And this is episode 50, and we're joined by Rady, 90-kilo world's strongest man. Just had a great contest. You're going to enjoy listening to this. He's a fun guest, and make sure to follow him on Instagram at Terry, Rady, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Strong Talk Podcast. I am Kalle Beck, joined by Mike Battolino. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fantastic today, Kalle. How are you?
I'm swell. I'm absolutely swell. Today we're going to be talking to Rady, or is it Rady?
Ready? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I'm the worst with names, so that's not going to change. He won 90 kilogram, which is basically 200 pounds, 198 pounds. World's Strongest Man. It was the inaugural year that it was like an officially licensed World's Strongest Man for the 90 kilo class, and pretty much dominated from what I can tell. So we'll be talking to him in a couple minutes. But before,
and that was at Core Gym, right?
Core Fitness Center.
Core Fitness.
Owned by Aaron Mullen in Indiana, Mooresville, Indiana, I believe. So we'll be talking to him in a couple minutes. But first, I just want to talk to you. Like, there's a lot going. How's life how's life? I don't know how I was gonna say it, but how's Mike's life? How is
Mike's life in Wichita Falls?
Yeah.
Pretty good, man. Training is going well. Training for my first Olympic weightlifting meet, so something a little bit different. But things are finally starting to click. It's just it's a lot more frustrating than strongman and powerlifting. Like, just technically, it's, you have an amazing day, and then the next day you come in, and it's just, you're like, you've never done this before. So, and everyone I've talked to that's been doing it for a very long time just says it's like that. It's just not like anything I've ever done. So, and I'm getting old. I'm getting at least, in a strength sport career for starting something new like this, I think. I wish I had started when I was like freaking 15. I think we all feel like that with a lot of things, though.
Yeah, you'd be like CJ Cummins.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be that good. But damn, that dude is good, man. I watched him in person, and if you don't know who he is, look up anything on social media about CJ Cummins. He's pretty awesome. He's probably going to be in the Olympics probably in 2020.
He's pretty much the American hope for Olympic just
like a medal.
Yeah.
Like medal in Olympic weightlifting. Yeah, I mean, Sarah Robles got it, which was awesome this year, but I don't remember the last male weightlifter that got a medal. It's been quite a while.
It's been far too long, but so is that the main difference that you see between like training for powerlifting or strongman and weightlifting is just how technical the movements are, and it's just it's less that like I know when you do like some strongman events, you just feel like just beat the hell up, and it's hard from that standpoint because the central nervous system takes such a pounding with strongman. But weightlifting, it's the most technical lift, really.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference is probably in strongman in strongman and powerlifting. I mean, you shouldn't keep to a degree. You shouldn't keep going once your form starts to break down. But obviously in strongman, you got 60 seconds. If you're getting like 15 reps, reps 13 through 15 probably aren't going to look amazing. And in a sport like weightlifting, you really need to stop when your form breaks down, because then you start ingraining really, really bad, motor patterns. And if you look at people that are really proficient, like Norik Vardanian, they kind of echo that same sentiment that you know maybe one day you're going to get in 3 sets, maybe some days you're going to get in 6, but when your form starts to break down, that's when you stop. So that's a big
Sure.
difference.
I think, well, in competing in strongman, I agree you have to keep going, but I
Yeah.
feel the same way. Like if I work up to like a heavy, or let's say I'm doing as many reps as possible. I feel like that's what my training should be called, is as many reps as possible, because that's the only
Yeah.
way I like to train. I don't even know if it's the best way, but it's what I enjoy. Um, but what I've learned over the years doing that is the most important part is stopping once things start to get funky,
Yeah.
which isn't necessarily when you could isn't it's you stop at technical failure, not absolute failure.
Yes. Yeah. For something like an AMRAP, yeah, for sure.
But even going up in weight and stuff, and it's just a good way. You're like, oh well, like if I'm doing strict overhead press because that's all I do, and I just feel where like you can just kind of feel where it just the position, like you have stable shoulders and you're pushing and it kind of slips out for like a second, and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
if that happens, I'm done. Because
Well, what about that? I mean, that's kind of a good transition, Kale. I mean, are you saying that you shouldn't go 100% in training all the time and always max out?
not if you want to compete in the sport for more than 2 years and you want to not constantly be getting surgeries and stuff. So
Oh, so you need to know when to quit as opposed to leaving everything on the table during every training session.
yeah, but it's hard because then on the flip side, I'll work with
Yeah.
people where you can tell they've never learned how to work. So
Yeah. Oh, it's
um,
it's definitely a delicate balance.
I feel like I have like two types of like, there's a couple types of like, athletes you'll work with. You'll have like the overachiever who you pretty much you're just regulating them from themselves a lot of the time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And
Yeah.
then you have that other person where you almost have to like sneak stuff in so they have to learn how to like push, you know? Um,
Yeah. I don't know. They're both kind of challenging. I guess sometimes I'd rather have the person that I need to push them a little bit, but they listen to it, as opposed to someone where I'm like, all right, man, work up to 3 sets of three, and they're like, yeah, so I did my 3 sets of three, and then like I felt real good, so I went for a couple more singles and got a PR.
yeah, with that type, what I've learned is like if I tell them like when they're peaking and I'll do something where I'll do like 3 singles at 90%.
Yeah,
But I didn't tell them to go for a max. But I know if I put 3 singles at 90%, they're gonna go for a max.
yeah,
But at the same time, they're not gonna go for the max if it felt like absolute crap, right?
hmm
So then they don't feel defeated. Like, damn, I thought I was gonna get that max. Like everything was like, when you tell someone like, all right, now's the time to retest your max on deadlift, they feel like that's the only thing that's ever mattered. Nothing that came before it or after. It was like, oh well, I just did all this work and it didn't matter. It's just sometimes it's just not the right day. But
yeah,
if they hit 2 singles and they're like, wow, that was 90%, and I moved it and it felt way easier than last time, and they stop. You're still getting the benefit, and you got to build up that self confidence a lot of the time. But
uh,
also knowing like if it felt stupid easy, they're going to go for a max, and then they're going to be happy
yeah.
because you pretty much ensured that they got it, while giving them a way out.
Well, I guess it boils down to coaching and programming is definitely a little bit of an art to it. I mean, you got to. It's not just as simple as putting some numbers down on a paper. I mean, you really have to take a lot of things into consideration. It's even way more than how hard they'll work. There's just so many things you need to consider with each individual, and it takes more than like 2 or 3 months to really get to know someone, to know how hard you can push them, or when to throttle back. But I don't know. It's pretty fun. I like it.
Yeah, that's definitely the people that where it does get fun is when you work with someone for like a long time, and you just basically then them. Like feel like the first like couple of weeks is just kind of a feeling out process, getting people used to whatever style you choose, and seeing how they react to different things too, because everything's different. And that's where the whole like the customization of it, like if someone just wants like, hey, here's a workout, there's plenty of places you can get that. But if someone wants to go to strongmancoach.com and sign up for training, then that's the difference, is you're working with them and around them and constantly changing what's going on. Because I don't think what a lot of people don't realize is like all these popular programs that they see weren't, it's not like I don't think like Boris Shako like wrote out, here's 16 weeks, everyone go do it.
Yeah.
What he did is he wrote down, like, as he was working with them day to day, this is what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
And then which that's what like real programming is of course there's science and methodology and like sound systems you want to follow for the most part, but training doesn't happen in a vacuum. So it has to be adapted, especially if someone's just a normal person and not like weightlifting is not their job, which I don't think it's anyone who's listening to this. Like you're gonna have days where you're like, I went out and I got drunk, and then the next day you're like, that's not gonna be the best day to do this, or you ate a bunch of candy, or you had to do a bunch of work, or you're stuck at this. Like life happens. So
it absolutely does. So let's a couple more things before we get our guest on real quick. So what day did Chris Duffin pull 1,000? Was that early this week or was that late last week?
Oh, I don't know when this is going to come out, so it doesn't, like the actual exact time.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter.
Isn't too important, but yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to talk about is Chris Duffin's cheaty sumo pull. That's sarcasm, by the way. But
and weirdly enough, a bunch of videos in the past couple of years have kind of gone viral from powerlifting or strongman. Like obviously Eddie Hall's deadlift went viral. Ray Williams' squat from last weekend, which was ridiculous, and if you haven't watched that, you need to. Mm-hmm. He's the first person to squat 1,000 raw in knee sleeves. But yeah, Chris Duffin pulled 1,000 for like 2.5 reps sumo.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's pretty insane. Actually, it was 1,001.6 because being that he is the mad scientist, I'm guessing he weighed out every single plate.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm almost certain that he did.
If you watch the YouTube version, which is extended, they weigh all the plates at the end. So that was exciting.
Yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't want to end at if it had ended up being 999.9, he would have reloaded the bar and pulled it again.
Oh yeah.
Without question.
But I think that was just cool, man. Like that was like
very. Yeah.
It's something that I keep thinking about, and I know Chris talked about it before. Is he's like, I don't really care if I go out and I do this in a meet. I just want to put 1,000 pounds on a bar. Like that's my goal, and I'm going to work towards it, and that's perfectly fine. Like you don't, especially if you've competed for well over a decade in powerlifting and done the kind of things he has. Like it's not like you're proving anything. At some point, you just have to find something that's pushing you to keep getting better. That doesn't need to be a new competition. You've already done that a million times. Like,
I don't know, dude. It was impressive as hell, and I think he'll probably squat 1,000 in reps too.
Sure.
I think he probably will. I knew he wanted to do both of those things.
And Chris actually has a podcast called Strength. I think it's Strength Talk or Strength Chat. And I guess I'm going to be a guest in November, so that's exciting.
Hi-yo. How did that work out?
I know the person who, like, one of the guys who works for him who does strongman.
Okay.
His name's Andre, and we're talking about something, basically about podcast equipment, because I had to buy stuff. He had to buy stuff. I think he's like the creative director for Kabuki Labs or whatever. So like, he figured out how to like. He's like, I had to like fly a drone and like make this stuff look cool. Like the video is really cool. Like there's a drone flying above it. It's, it's well done. We were talking about something, and then he's just like, hey, he'd like to talk to you. It was funny though, because I was looking through, so the podcast is pretty new, so I was looking through the past guests, and there's been like 5 or 6, and every single one of them's like doctor this specializes in this. I'm like, I don't even know what those words are, so I don't know what he wants to talk to me about. But
he wants to talk that you packaged the WoW straps that he pulled that deadlift with.
That's true. Yeah.
Can we take a moment to appreciate that the part Kalle played in strength history?
Yeah.
And if you look really closely, I mean, on one of the videos of the drone, you can see Kalle's fingerprint and just a little bit of hair gel on the end of it.
Yeah, he used the Wireway lifting straps, which are available at store.startingstrongman.com, which he actually bought them from, which is kind of cool. It's like funny when you're looking through orders, and then you're like, oh, this order came in from blah blah, and you're like, huh, okay, that's cool.
Next thing you know, you're going to get a bunch of orders from, I actually never knew how to pronounce his name. Is it Yoko Ahola?
Yoko Ahola.
Yoko Ahola. Okay, so you're going to get a bunch of orders from him because apparently he's training for an IPF meet. I guess.
Saw that. That's awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I don't know what I know he was on Vikings a little bit, right? He was on the show Vikings.
They said he was, but I couldn't like.
You couldn't place him.
Yeah, I watched all the seasons, and most of the time when I watch stuff like that, I'm also like on my computer writing programming or doing stuff on the site, so it's like half paying attention. People are like, this happened. I'm like, I don't know.
He's doing a deadlift in the background.
Yeah,
his nose starts bleeding.
I miss that, but yeah, it's cool. He's Yoko Ahola, 2-time world's strongest man, is on Instagram. I think it's some sort of username of like at Yoko Ahola or something. I'm sure you can find him. But yeah, that was cool. And Ray Williams squat, and we're talking powerlifting still, but I think that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And what isn't getting as much publicity is that he also hit like a pretty big deadlift.
844 to break Brad Gillingham's raw deadlift record. Because Brad Gillingham has pulled 881 in his suit, and which, to be fair, Brad Gillingham gets nothing out of a suit. But still, Brad Gillingham's record officially was 843 in USAPL, or his IPF record, which he pulled at Worlds a couple of years ago. And, Ray Williams really looks up to Brad Gillingham, pretty much like everyone in USAPL does. I mean, I've shared the platform with Brad before, and I don't know. I mean, it's different. Anyone that's pulled over 100 plus 800-pound deadlifts in competition, okay, since like the mid-90s. So Ray said, let's put 844 so I can break Brad's record, and he did it.
That's awesome.
That was. I mean, I knew he was going to squat the 1,000. I mean, I knew he was good for it, but the 844, I think that was like a 50-pound meat PR, something like that. It was huge. So.
Yeah. Speaking of big deadlifts, let's call up Mr. Terry,
Mr. Terry,
strongest man in the world under 200 pounds. Let's see. I got to add people to this conversation. Yeah, they had let's see what he's doing. Hopefully not too hungover. I mean, he did do this yesterday, so we'll see. Get Mr. Terry Rady on the phone. I think it's with an A.
I'm going to go with Rady.
It's always, yeah, but he pulled a 720 on an axle.
Hello.
Hey, Terry, it's Kalle Beck and Mike Battolino. You're on Strong Talk, and we're live. How you doing?
I am, well, other than all the pain right now in my body, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's was going to be one of my first questions is it's not too often that we talk to someone literally like less than 24 hours after a big contest like that. And that was a heavy contest with 6 events. So yeah.
6, yeah.
Yeah, I remember probably you're not going to be as animated or anything as normal, I'd imagine, because I can remember the days after my competition. I'm like, I just want to lay in bed and not move, and then just keep doing that and just eat everything.
Have you got that today?
Yeah, actually, I was up and at 'em at like 6 a.m. this morning. I didn't really sleep last night because I was so amped, I kind of stayed up and Netflix binged and ate a whole bag of Hostess donuts and a whole box of Cocoa Pebbles all night.
Awesome.
Sounds about perfect. So you, it's funny when it happens because like I get a couple of people, you know, they start messaging me like, hey, who won 90s and stuff. I'm like, Terry, and how's your last name? Is it Rady?
Rady.
Rady. Okay.
Yes.
Damn,
yes.
Mike's always right. I'm always wrong. But they're like, who? And I'm like, I don't know. The dude's strong. I started seeing your stuff on Instagram and stuff like pretty much like right around and after the log deadlift championships. But I don't think you've been doing the sport very long. Am I wrong?
Well, I've been doing the sport seriously for like 2.5 years. But I've been doing it off and on for about 5 years. But, you know, I was more into like hanging out with chicks and, you know, just going to the gym to, you know, just to train, just to do it. But I've been doing it competitively for like 2.5 years. So yeah, this 2016 was a good year for me. I didn't lose a contest in 2016. So it was a good year. Yeah.
It's like your coming out party, but not in that way.
Pretty much. Maybe, who knows? We'll see. You know, I'll talk to Kearney and, you know, everybody and see what they think, if I can or not.
Yeah, of course. Mr. Rob Kearney was the MC yesterday. He got to control the mic, which he enjoys. But so how, like, okay, so where was this switch where you're just like, okay, I'm lifting for fun, and you know, like we all do, and then you're like, I'm really gonna get serious. I have a goal. You know, it seems like you had in 2016. Why did your focus shift, and how did that all come about?
Actually, it was my best friend, Nick Belowski. He trains with Derek Devon, who's a heavyweight pro strongman. He just competed at Worlds this year, that trains at our gym. And I went through a really bad breakup, and when that happened, I just needed an outlet to, you know, vent and get my frustrations. And then that's kind of when the switch, you know, flipped, and I started taking it, you know, more seriously and stuff, and just pouring all of my time into it because it was just a good outlet for the anger rather than going and doing something stupid.
Rather than just drinking at the bar and being upset. Yeah, training's a great distraction from life. I think I found my best training is what happened when I was unhappy.
Maybe we should get Johnny Manziel into strongman. Maybe that's the answer.
Oh, please no. Oh, no.
But
you heard it here, folks. Kalle got Johnny Manziel into strongman.
Don't blame me for even more things. Everyone loves
awful.
to. So you train. So you are you from Indiana? That's where you train at?
Yeah, I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. I train at Core. You know, it was definitely, you know, a home field advantage yesterday, but it's, you know, it's world's strongest man, so there's really no excuses for it. You know, I mean, you can get kegs anywhere, you can get sandbags anywhere, you can get yokes anywhere, you know, so it wasn't, you know, the events weren't, you know, tailor made for me, you know, or anything like that. I mean, a lot of them I was actually really bad at when I first started strongman and stuff. It's just, you know, if there's one thing I've learned in this sport, you can't just be good at one or two things and succeed in it. You gotta be a, you know, well-rounded player if you want to make moves.
For sure. So how did you qualified for this contest? I think at the log deadlift championships. What did you hit there?
Well, I hit 7 on deadlift and 305 on the log, but the conditions, I don't know if you guys had heard, but the conditions.
Oh, we watched.
We were in a dirt field, and it was 102 degrees with like 90-something% humidity. So
it looked horrible. Yeah.
It was terrible. It was honestly probably the worst conditions I've ever lifted in. And that, I had anticipated actually hitting, 7 on dead and hitting like 340 on the log, 345. And then, I mean, when I cleaned 290, I was like, oh, good grief. This is not happening today.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think anyone had a good performance on the log that day, from what I could tell.
Yeah, no one did. And they were rough logs too. I mean, it was because they were black. They're the black rogue logs, and then they're just sitting there in the sun. So you pick them up, and it's like melted to your body. So
yeah, that's never a fun time, and that really prevents you from doing it shirtless. And then if you have to wear a shirt when you're competing, it's just not. What's even the point?
Right. Well, that's why I shave my chest too. You gotta shave your chest. Can't wear a shirt. Gotta look good.
You get
There's
a spray
no point
tan?
in doing it if you can't look good. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I didn't have any got to be glued in my hair though. I really need to get a hookup on that. I need to get a hookup.
Looking for a sponsor, gotta be hair products.
Well, if after like 8 years of this, I can get the company to send me 1 bottle of gel, I'm just gonna say good luck and try to get a sponsor. Like, how many times have I tagged them and annoyed them, and there's been hair references, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna send you a care package, and which is it's like, it's not like I can't afford like a $6 bottle of gel. It's just kind of funny. But then they're like, there's this big company, and they're like, thank you for our support, here's 1 bottle of gel. And I'm like, man, I talk shit on supplement companies, and they sent me like $1,200 a product because I said their stuff sucks. Like, I've been saying how great you are forever.
Terry, there is a precedent for this because right before you came on, Kalle and I were talking about Ray Williams squatting 1,005, and I was going through Instagram this morning, and Ray Williams was tagging all of his new sponsors, and the last one was his barber shop, or like a barber shop. So there's a precedent for it. So Gotta Be could definitely actually sponsor you now that you've won World's Strongest Man under 90 kilos.
I think that would only be fair, right? I mean, they're getting a lot of exposure, obviously, from my 1,300 Instagram followers. So,
for sure.
But, yeah.
Until then, you'll just have to, make do with what you got.
So go for like maybe do a deadlift video, and then the next video is you putting hair product in, and then a video of you shaving your chest, and then a log video, something like that.
Well, I thought Starting Strongman had that covered, like the whole hair product thing, like showing you tutorials, how to get it perfectly, Hugh Jackman. I mean, I'm not good with that. I can pull off a pretty sweet Jimmy Neutron, but that's about it.
I could see that. I definitely could see that. And there is actually on the Starting Strongman YouTube channel a video of me doing my hair. So that does exist. But
that is amazing.
We got to bump that video.
You'd think so, but it never got any traction at all. Like, no one really, like, well, I mean, people shouldn't care. Like, they really shouldn't. So it's probably better that way, but you think they would. But no, there's nothing.
You'd think so.
You'd think, but, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
So, this contest was organized by Aaron Mullen, and it was at your home gym. How much weight did you have to cut for it? I saw those when you start making like Instagram stories and everything leading up to it. It's your Instagram's of course just your name, because people should go follow you because you're strong, and I started following you, so that's reason enough. But and you're like, cutting weight, life's horrible, and I'm like, yep, that's how it looks. It looked like you cut a decent amount.
I was 220 on Sunday, 199 Friday morning at 6 a.m. So the cut this time really wasn't as bad. I actually didn't cut out carbs until Wednesday at 1. So the cut really wasn't terrible. I only had to do 2 hours in the sauna. And then, my refeed was amazing, but it's just like that 24-hour period waiting, you're hungry and you feel like you're dying, but I think it's the anticipation of weighing in that just makes it 100 times worse.
Let's get back to the refeed being amazing. Let's touch on that real quick. Let's just get into what you ate.
Oh man. Well, I took in a total of 12 liters of fluid, mainly Pedialyte and Gatorade G2 with glycerin mixed in, because the glycerin helps your muscles absorb the liquid more efficiently. I had some chicken and rice with jalapenos and Frank's Red Hot, of course. I had some Play Again, obviously. Play Again now, that's great.
There's another sponsor you need.
I am sponsored by Play Again.
Oh, you are sponsored by them. Awesome.
I'm plugging all over the place here, man. I'm plugging away.
That's the point, man.
Frank's Red Hot? Is Frank's Red Hot also sponsored?
I wish. Oh, they couldn't afford to sponsor me. They lose money. Yeah, but I mean, I try to keep my refeed clean. Some of my guilty, whenever I do cheat on my refeeds, and when I cheat, Kashi makes these cookies. They're dark chocolate oatmeal cookies. And oh my goodness, they're so great. But they're, it's oats, so like that's how I pass it off in my mind. I'm like, what's oats?
It's Kashi. People that do yoga and stuff eat that, so it must be good, right?
Right. They have abs, yeah, So yeah, that, and then I did kill a whole bag of Quaker rice snacks too.
Nice.
And I had a pumpkin pie blizzard from Dairy Queen and half a box of Cocoa Pebbles.
Good.
And,
good. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, it's and I also had 4 peanut butter marshmallow banana sandwiches on the potato bread toast. So I try to keep it, clean, but then after you've been cutting weight and eating chicken, rice, and broccoli and olive oil for like the past 4 weeks, you're like, I don't even care right now. I'm just gonna stuff it,
And what
the
did you
fluids
wake up
were the
at?
most important part. I woke up at 2:18.
Nice.
So
well done.
Gained it all back. But yeah, it's the fluids that are the most important part, obviously. But
Absolutely.
after I'd taken in like 7 liters, I was like, okay, time to start pounding some food.
Yeah, I think people definitely miss that part with the weigh-in. And the important part is the refeed and rehydrating, where I feel like any dumbass can kind of get the weight off if they want to suffer enough, but if you're actually going to replenish so you don't shit the bed and you can actually perform, is where the hard part is. And you see people like they go to IHOP and they eat everything, but then like you don't see them drinking any water or any fluids or anything. It's like now your stomach's full and you have no room. Which I've made that mistake before. And then once you learn, it's just like, I just need to keep pounding fluid and then eat a little bit. Like it seemed from what you're saying with your meals, it doesn't seem like you had like a huge meal at one time.
No, it actually, it was spread out. I only got, I think, 4 hours of sleep the night before the competition. I was in bed at 10, but I just kept waking up to eat and like didn't actually get to sleep until like 12:30 and woke up at 4 and ate again. And then took a nap, then woke up at 7, 8 again, then took a nap. But it's mainly the fluids, man. People they think the food's the important part, and that's the least important part of the refeed. I mean, it's the fluids. And, if there's one thing I could tell anybody, it's, make sure you go to CVS and get a bottle of glycerin, because it's going to make every little bit of fluid you take in that much more effective.
For sure. Yeah,
do you do your own dietary?
I do not. I get some assistance from a guy named Mike Mastel out of Connecticut.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He's a pro strongman, so he's a freaking guru. I used to do it in the past, but I'm a huge advocate of when you get to a certain point in your training and your diet where you're starting to stick and, get dry spells, I'm a huge advocate of going to someone else. Don't try and work through it yourself, because outside eyes have better input than your own tunnel vision.
Strongmancoach.com.
Yeah, Mike Mistel's a great coach. Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, I've known him for years, and anyone who is looking for that kind of advice, I always recommend. They're like, who do you recommend other than you? And I'm like, well, Mike Mistel. This really like I'm perfectly fine telling people to go other places, but does he do your training as well?
He does not. I was doing my own training for a while, but now Matt Mills out of Connecticut does my helps me with my programming.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just it was I had one Kentucky Strongest Man, and then I had one Indiana Strongest Man, and I was going into a rest period, but I was kind of getting stuck at certain points on my log press and my deadlift, and wasn't really. I mean, I was plateaued, and I mean, Matt's he's a middleweight pro, and he's a great guy and just a great athlete. Great presser, great puller. And I was like, well, if you're going to go to somebody, and I knew Matt personally before that. So I said, hey, help me out. And he helps me with my programming.
Nice.
So yeah, it's and it's the same thing with the guys I program and do diets for, they come to me with the same thing. Like, I'm stuck. And I'm like, well, now you're going to get input from me, and it's outside eyes. I feel like people have a tough time pushing themselves on things they're weak at because they only want to train the things they're good at because they like doing it because they're good at it.
100%.
Now, how does he? Oh, go ahead, Kalle.
Oh, well, my point is that like you said, you do coaching for people, and if anyone wants to contact you, I'm sure that you want to be willing to help them, but is like and I do coaching, Mike does coaching, but all of us have hired coaches at some point. It doesn't
Right.
like there gets some weird thing where people are like, oh, well, if I'm trying to make a name for myself and I want people to come to me, if I don't do my own coaching, everyone's just going to hire my coach, obviously. But that's not how it works. Like you said, it's so much harder to be objective with your own training versus someone else's. So it just helps. And then also it frees you up to you can think about your own clients' training and stuff, and then when you go in the gym and you've been thinking about this and that, like as when I'm writing programs and answering emails for all my clients, and like I go in and do my own training, I keep I'm not doing anything serious right now, so I keep it simple. But if I was prepping for a contest like hardcore, for sure I'd hire someone else, because I just want to go in the gym and do the work and not have to think about it, second guess it, because that's all you've been doing all day.
100%. Oh, 100%. Oh yeah, I could 100% agree with that. And I have a lot of friends that are real thick-headed and like to kind of be stuck in their own ways, and I have other friends that have branched out and went to other people and stuff, and it's I feel like in the strongman community I'm almost a pest because like I ask so many questions to all these great athletes. I mean, after America's Strongest Man, I was picking Sean DeMarinis' brain for probably 35, 45 minutes.
Sure.
After the contest, just about anything, like, what does he do for this? How does this work for him? I did the same thing with Shaw. I've done, I mean, I blow Mike's phone up and Matt's phone up, just asking them advice. Even powerlifters, Dan Gibson up in Northern Indiana, who owns Strength Haven Gym. He's a powerlifter, great guy. I blow him up about powerlifting programming. I like the ability to learn as much as I can about anything that has to do with strength sports, because I think it's all universally can be interwoven. I mean, obviously, yoke and farmers are going to blow your squat up for powerlifting. I mean, it's all translates. So the more you know, the better off you are. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
How does Matt kind of train you? I mean, what kind of 4 days, how many sessions a week do you do? What kind of different exercises do you do? I mean, we talked to Nick Hatch a few weeks ago, and Andrew Triana trains him, and he does, his training is very unique from what I've seen from other people, and I'm not really sure how what Matt does, so kind of just touch upon that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a basic structure.
Well, a lot of it's me cussing at him, but it's all online, obviously, because he lives in Connecticut. But we do 4 days a week leading up to a heavy contest. Since I'll be taking, I'm done competing for 2016. So we'll probably go to 5 days a week and have one day be like an accessory bodybuilding type day. I know leading up to this contest, it was a squat, like, Monday would be heavy squats, mainly front squats, and the sandbag keg medley would be in on that day, but he would pre-fatigue my legs to do the keg and sandbag. So, we do heavy squats and stuff before then do the keg and sandbag. So I'm already tired.
Yep.
So it makes it that much better, and then, same thing with, yoke and chain. Like I'm always pre-fatigued going into whatever event I'm training for. So that way, and obviously, I was curious about it and I was like, well, yeah, it makes sense. And then obviously yesterday it paid dividends because throughout the entire contest, I mean, I had 2 first place finishes, a second place finish, a third place finish, and a fourth place finish. And another second place finish, I believe. It was a great overall contest for me. I mean, I was a little upset with the keg sandbag load, but that's something I can fix down the road. Can't beat myself up over it. But yeah, he just kind of pre-fatigued me, and we do a like a 5-6 week peak on static lifts if it's a max event. And then he deloads me for a week and then rests me for a week, and then we're good to go.
Right
cool.
On. Yeah. That's something I implement with my clients all the time. And I think they hate me for it too, is that like event day before there's moving events, there's always squats, or like some lower body, like that's when we get the squats in with it, so everything, like you said, is pre-fatigued, which, like when you're doing a contest, unless you end up having a yoke be the first event or whatever, like almost every single event, you're going to have tired legs going into it. So it only makes sense to then set it up so you're always doing yoke. And not just that, but like you said, you stayed consistent that whole day. It builds up your work capacity, where you see a lot of people, they'll have these peaks, they'll have these valleys, or like they'll start off strong and by the end of the contest they peter out. They just can't sustain that work capacity. Such a big part of being successful in the sport.
Oh yeah, it was pretty noticeable yesterday going into the 5th event. You could kind of see people start to drop off, and my energy level right then was kind of, I mean, it was going up because I was starting to feel myself, because that was power stairs, and that's probably honestly one of my favorite events ever, because I'm tall for a U90. So it was power stair time, and everybody was kind of dreading that event. And I ended up, that was one of the ones I won in 32 seconds, I believe.
Nice.
And yeah, it was, everybody else, if you saw the events, it was a pretty leg dominant day. I mean, it was a load medley, a yoke chain medley, deadlift, power stairs, stones. That's a lot of legs. And, going into power stairs, everybody was pretty fatigued, but I was feeling it pretty well.
Yeah, it was a different structure from a lot of contests where, like if you look at something like Strongman Corporation Nationals and that, it's like there's a lot of sprint events, where it's whoever can, someone can do a yoke a second faster, a couple tenths of a second faster than someone else is what it comes down to, and you're just working on that foot speed. It seemed like most of the events in this contest it was like all medleys, like you said, like there's a 4-part loading medley, a chain drag. When the hell do you see that anymore? Power stairs, it's still a speed event, but like you said, you won with like a little over 30 seconds. That's not exactly, it's not a sprint. So it's just a different structure. And I feel a lot of people, they've just got so accustomed to this similar structure of events where everything, it's like, okay, I need to get an 8-second farmers, a 7-second yoke or whatever, and then everything else is as many reps as possible in 60 seconds. But this contest was more like actually like traditional strongman, how it was 10 years ago or so.
10-15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron obviously is my gym owner, and he asked me. He said, he's hosted a Giants Live and a Giants Live qualifier and all this stuff, so he knows what to pick for heavyweights. But he was like, I have no idea what you U90 guys can do.
Yeah.
And I said, here's the deal, man. I said, we're tired of rep fest. It's embarrassing when we go to a show and we have to crank out 20 something reps on something. I said, make it heavy, make it like a mini Arnold, And I think the weights he picked, I mean, it was exactly how a strongman contest should be broken down. A third struggled, a third did okay, and a third, would do really well. And it was honestly probably one of the heaviest U90 contests in history, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
It was. I don't know if you guys saw that fixed axle, but that thing was an animal. I mean, that's the axle Poundstone and them used in the Mohegan Sun.
Oh, wow.
And it was 285 with a 2.75-inch bar, and the tires were welded on the side, so it wasn't moving at all.
I didn't know those first sets of tires were welded.
How many reps did you get on that?
It was a max.
It was.
Oh, that was 2 max. Okay.
Yeah, it was a medley.
Oh,
so it was
the one in the overhead. No, I missed the over. Sorry, I missed the overhead medley. I watched the in and out, but missed that event.
Yeah, the medley. It was. I actually ended up. I almost had to withdraw after the press medley because it was a 200-pound keg, a 172-pound Thomas Inch dumbbell, the 285 fixed axle, and the 300-pound log, big dog log, which, Kalle, I know you've hit one of those. That's almost like a fixed log pretty much.
Oh, yeah. It always put I feel like I press it like at least 10% less on a big dog log.
Yeah, it's a reality checker for sure. Johnny Wasico makes some good equipment though. I'd smoked it in training many times. I mean, I was hitting, low 30s in the medley. Rob Ward from England came in, and he was the only one to press all 4 implements, and he's an amazing presser. He's probably going to break his brother's record here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Great guy too, just an all-around stand-up guy. But he hit all 4, and I smoked the first 3 implements. And I mean, I was on a blistering pace, and I just got too far ahead of myself, too anxious, cleaned the log, barely missed the press, dropped it, picked it up again, cleaned it again, went to press it again, and just took a short nap on the floor, and started like dry heaving, and woke up with like fingers in my mouth holding my tongue and all this crazy stuff. And it was pretty weird.
I'm imagining that was strongman Doc. I could see him doing some weird stuff like that.
He was there. He was standing over me, and he was going, "Terry, wake up." And I'm like, "What are you doing, Todd?"
I don't think you ever want to wake up with Dr. Todd looking down at you. Like, you don't know what just happened.
Yeah, I was a little concerned.
Yeah, that's a brutal medley. All the events were it was definitely heavy. I don't think it was too heavy. I remember I put up, like, here's the athletes, here's the weights, blah blah blah, on startingstrongman.com, and some of the comments are like, "Isn't that really heavy?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's worlds." And people are like, "Yeah, that's a good point."
A lot of the European guys, they're all a blast. I mean, we were having such a fun day yesterday, even though when I compete outside of competition, I'm a great guy. I'm pretty cheery, but when I compete, I put in my headphones and, I'm kind of a jerk. But I'm just trying to stay focused, but it's so hard because they're all so nice. So we were all talking, and the first platform on the stones was 66 inches, and, they're U90s. They're not even 60 inches tall. So, it was a struggle, and they were, I guess in Europe, they don't really do like heavy yokes. They don't do heavy yokes. They don't do stuff like that. The guy from Italy, Gianmarco, I don't know what his last name was, Bellardo or something like that. He had never touched an Atlas stone until yesterday.
Jeez.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a learning curve for him, and he did great competitor. But it's, two different worlds, and this contest, I think, was how a world's strongest man competition should be, even for lighter weights. It's not just heavyweights. I mean, it should be heavy, even on the moving events. It shouldn't be a rep fest, you know. It should have a max event in it, you know, and then it should end with a stone series head to head. And
did anyone finish? How many people finished the stones?
No one.
Okay, all right, because the last one was 380, right?
380. I had finished it in the gym one time, and we were all so just because they weren't adjusted completely. So by the time it was 6 p.m. here when we were finishing up, it was like 11 p.m. over in their time. So they're like ready to go to sleep. And I got second in the stones. Jess Reeves, who's a great friend of mine, he got first in the stones, and we were the only two people to load the third stone. Rob Ward got close, but I think time ran out right as he loaded it.
So no one got the fourth or the fifth stone?
No. But after I saw that no one, going into the last event, I had a really significant lead, so I knew that, you know, I didn't have to go crazy after seeing everyone go. So I just kind of paced myself and, you know, took my time. I didn't want to, you know, herniate a disc trying to be a dummy and show off.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, you had what, like almost a 20-point lead at the end of the day? I think it was
21.
There you go. I'm
Yeah, I won by
shortchanging
21
you.
points.
Yeah, that's
20. Yeah, come on, man. 21 points. Jeez.
not almost 20 over. Yeah, that's a lot. And there was no slouches in this competition. You know, like Rob Ward is just, he's, you know, been podium at different worlds competitions a couple times. You know, Tom Hibbert, I think his name is, he's, you know, he's won all those. They're kind of back and forth, and they're really good and hard to beat. And, you know, 20 points is, you know, that's dominating. Not you know, and that's not taking anything away from anyone else, but that's a solid day you had.
Everything came together, man. The refeed was really good. Rob actually came out a week early so we could get adjusted to the time, but that's what every great athlete would do.
Sure.
But you know, it's you know, it was, I have sacrificed so much. I mean, even in my relationship, you know, my job, everything for this, because it meant that much to me. So, you know, it shouldn't have ended any other way than what it did yesterday in my mind. I don't want to take anything away from anyone else, but, you know, there was no doubt in my mind at the end of the day yesterday that I deserved that after how everything went for me. You know, I mean, even on the max deadlift, I was, you know, I'd creeped Shane, who had won the Euro log and deadlift championships, and he's just a great deadlifter. And I was like, okay, he's going to give me a run for my money. And then I saw Tom was actually repping 7 for like doubles. And I was like, okay, Tom's getting pretty strong on his deadlift. And then, you know, but they were all using deadlift bars. And we had mentioned to him, we said, you know, this is not a deadlift bar. It's a little stiffer.
Sure.
So you might want to train with a power bar. And they were still using those deadlift bars. And I think when they started lifting with the stiff bar, it was kind of a reality check for everybody.
So much different.
And, yeah, I mean, Dan Falcone out of Philly, he was actually a genius and started deadlifting with a squat bar, which was a perfect example. And he hurt his back a while ago, but I mean, he grinded it out yesterday and hit 675. And him and I got dinner afterwards, and he was kind of bummed, but he definitely could have pulled 7+ yesterday if his back wouldn't, you know, he didn't want to risk it for the rest of the contest. But, you know, I felt like I had probably 770, 780 in the tank.
So you had another like 60, like another 60 pounds.
Yeah, I peaked at 730 in training. Then, you know, when I hit 730, I was like, okay, you know, that felt good. And then, but that was at, you know, full fatigue. So if you're hitting 730 at full fatigue in my mind, you know, and then after how 720 went, I mean, 720 was the easiest pull I've ever pulled. No. And so it was great.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all, especially, you know, throw So I guess, throw a deadlift bar in there and another peak, you probably, safe to say you'd be creeping up on 8.
I'm trying to catch up to Adam Dirks right now. He's running away from me a little bit. I texted him. I told him I'm gonna catch up to him, and he said, "Yeah, maybe when I gain 100 pounds."
Yeah,
But
that might help. He's skinny for a heavyweight, but he's definitely big for an under 90. So
yeah, he's such a turd, but man, he's such a great guy. I'm so proud to call him a friend. I'm proud of everything he's doing right now. But I really want to catch him or Fondry on deadlift, man. Those two dudes. I don't know what it is, what they put in the water on the northern states, but like, he's up in Wisconsin and Fondry's out on New Hampshire. And it's like whatever you guys are eating or drinking, give me some of it, so I gotta get my deadlift up.
Yeah, they can definitely pull. So, like you said, this contest meant so much to you. Is this pretty much the first ever like official like licensed World's Strongest Man under 90? Like, I'm sure being involved and knowing that that's going to go on probably had a big part in you saying like taking your training a lot more seriously this year and pushing for it. I remember when they announced that they're going to have like a 175 at the Arnold, like that's why my training shot up, just because you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. That's my, like that. This is what I've been waiting for, So, what do you think's like the future of under 200 pound strongman, and what you'd like to do next with it?
Well, I'm going to take a break for a little bit. I wouldn't mind doing an Arnold. I've never done one. But, I'm going to take a break for a little bit because I really have just punished my body this year. And, I take extra care, with mobility and massages and stuff. But I'm definitely going to go defend my title next year. But, I'm going to take a break for like a couple months. Still train strongman, but just not, for any specific contest, just train my weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so blessed to be the first person to win, and so thankful to help start a tradition and just get continuity in the lighter weight classes, because I feel like for the longest time a lot of people thought, well, lightweight strongman classes, it's not as impressive as the heavyweights. The weights aren't as heavy, but yesterday showed, hey, even when the weights are heavy, we show up, and we make it happen, and it was really, I bawled my eyes out after I won. It meant so much to me. I've put so much into this, guys. It really, it
Awesome.
was just, it was the culmination of everything, man. It's going to Disney World.
Yeah, that's what next. You're going to Disney World. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for lightweight strongman. Of course, I've always, been a competitor and big advocate of it, and think it's something that'll help push the sport forward. Just it's easy. It's good when it can be relatable for more people. So some people they're gonna listen to you. They're gonna see you on Instagram, and they're gonna be like, oh, I'm kind of like that. Like for whatever reason, they're like, I'm kind of like that guy. I could do it. Where some other like big guy might see Brian Shaw and say, oh, I didn't know that there was something other than football I could do. So I just think the more types of people that are in the sport and being given some sort of spotlight and big goals to achieve, like a world's, the bigger the sport's going to grow. And I'm glad that you're able to play a part in that. And that was good to see the 90 kilogram world's strongest man like officially done, and hopefully this continues to grow, and more great athletes like you keep doing it. And congratulations again, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It means a lot. I was actually really amped whenever Starting Strongman messaged me and said congratulations, because I do follow you guys, and I creep pretty hard on Instagram. I don't like posts I just like to stay in the shadows. But I'm always watching.
No double tapping.
That's not creepy.
Yeah, I if I double tap, it's going to be on something stupid, like when I'm like 50 weeks back in your profile and I like accidentally double tap something.
Just,
I'm like, oh, no.
you're just in the shadows, drinking your Play Again now, using your hair care products, and
drinking, wearing my SBD knee sleeves and my Pioneer belt, and drinking Carbolin by EFX Sports. So
very nice.
Got them all in.
Well,
but yeah, it's been a ride this year. Take a break, and I will be back better than ever next year, ready to defend it, bring it back to America, keep it here in the States because that's where it belongs.
Absolutely.
Just like Shaw.
Yeah, you and so if people want to creep on you on Instagram and see your training and wherever they want to follow you or contact for coaching, how can they get a hold of you?
My email is Terry Rady, TerryRady 1 @gmail.com, and my Instagram is just Terry Rady. Starting Strongman actually reposted one of my Z Press videos, which is the greatest exercise ever, a few weeks ago. You guys go check that out. And it doesn't even have to be about coaching. I like to stay grounded. If anyone has just any questions, man, feel free to message me. I'm always responsive. I like to help any way I can because this is such a beautiful sport and it's a work of art. And I mean, it's so chaotic at the same time. And I appreciate strongman for what it truly is. And I want it to get bigger, and I want it to get all the exposure it can, because I think it benefits every person in every way, whether it be depression or whether it be, you just want to be the best athlete you can be. Strongman's, it's 100% the way to go.
Absolutely. Well said. Thanks a lot, man. And thanks for taking the time. It was great talking to you, and, go back to just nursing your pains, and, looking forward to see what you do next.
Cocoa Puffs and Hostess Donuts. There you go.
No, it's the Walking Dead premiere tonight, so I got to go get pizza.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm on page with you there. I'm going to be tuning into that too. Not with the pizza, because I'm too fat now, so I need to get back in the shape, but definitely watching The Walking Dead. But cool. And this is a Strong Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this, of course, follow Terry at what was your Instagram again? Sorry.
Terry Rady.
Okay. You can follow me at Starting Strongman, at Let Kalle Lift, Mike at Chrono Strength. Give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. And thanks for listening. Stay strong.